Hey guys, Merry Christmas! And what would be more fitting for the occasion than the second part of my Utahraptor exhibit that is fully dedicated to corporate greed? Because it's a training facility for Utahraptor to make it usable for, I don't know, private protection, the military, whatever you please. And speaking of greed, Google has finally deemed me worthy of making money on YouTube by using supers, which is pretty cool because even though I despise the concept of money, this is basically my job now and I have 2 hungry cat mouths to feed. So no ad revenue, and in case it wasn't clear until now, I hereby grant you total ad blocker absolution. But if you feel particularly happy or inspired after watching my videos, or just the opposite of greedy at this time of the year, I invite you to show that by leaving me a super thanks, which is basically a highlighted comment, like a super chat, but in the comment section. And yeah, I know I read all and reply to most comments anyways, but super thanks are different, so I will read and reply to any of them at the end of my upcoming videos, unless they're filthy or inappropriate, so please be civil. And since I'm at it, you're also welcome to join my Patreon. And if you're not sure if this is for you, there's a possibility to a 7 days free trial membership, which allows you to check out what I have to offer there, and to find out which part I'm going to enter for the best park build in EVO's Battle of the Builders. And also worth noting, and this is the last point I'm going to make, that I'm going to go back to the build. Even though I have 3 different tiers there, you get access to everything no matter what tier you're in. You can alter your tier every month. And if none of the tiers seem appropriate to you, you can do as my patron Tyler does and choose any amount you're willing to pay monthly, or even do a one-time donation. Now, so much for corporate greed. Let's get back to the build. And I'm starting this build with a transit zone between the fancy waterfall exhibit I did in the last video and the training area, for which I first made this little square that I'm going to widen to a rectangle because I wasn't sure which size I wanted to have this to have. And first I put this monorail roof over it, and I've added this double gate there, which I'm going to explain later. And to get rid of the pillars, I created a series of nooks and dens, basically of rocks. And the idea being that Utahraptor prefers to sleep and maybe nest in cave-like rock formations. Because despite being a predator, Utahraptor is a shy little or medium-sized critter, at least according to the lore of this build. And it needs reassurance, and it seeks safety and hiding to feel secure enough to relax. So I made basically like a little labyrinth out of these rocks and try to position them so that, yeah, I create lots of little nooks, maybe some cave-like roofed areas, and I'm going to add vegetation to it so that it feels even more cozy and secure. And I have the concrete fence up and no viewing opportunity there for guests, just because, as I said, Utahraptor is shy. Even predators are not always the ones with the greatest self-assurance and fill-in word here. So actually, this is not a 2-in-1 build, but a 3-in-1 build. But the nighttime habitat is so small and it's not being used by the Utahraptors. I think they're too lazy to make their way through the rocks. So I kind of don't consider it as a 3rd habitat. But yeah, it's a transit zone. I think it belongs to the first one, the nice part. Actually, it doesn't. Actually, it's its own thing that doesn't have as much importance and grandeur as the other two, so I don't count it, but it's actually a 2 kind of 3-in-1 build. And now we're nearing the end of the nighttime habitat, and I'm going over to the exciting part. And to be honest, I only wanted to make this other side of the exhibit because I saw Ivo's short about the gate on path glitch, and I couldn't wait. I had to do something high security thing where you need double gates and gate on path. And when I recorded this, I didn't know yet that the glitch also works with just any decoration piece that keeps the ground from being altered. And so I did this one gate with the help of the lagoon bug, but later on I'm going to go back in and replace a few gates that I have placed just without any path under them with the help of the new glitch that is probably not new, but and add even more gates on path. But first of all, I need to sort of lay down the entire layout of the staff section. So basically, I'm building a staff section right now. I added this DFW. As you see, it's a security checkpoint, DFW connection building to one of the log or dome attractions. Just because I thought, even though I have this double entry for guests and for staff that is separated, technically guests could sneak through and enter the staff section, which is not ideal. So I added this building since we don't have anything that looks particularly security-esque. I tried using this for once. It's just a small little building that looks utilitarian and that may be suitable for something like a security checkpoint. It would be even greater if we had like a barrier, a gate, like what's it called? Like a gate that opens and closes, but another type of gate. The one with just one bar that goes up and down, whatever. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, please leave me the name of it down in the comments. Okay, so now I'm decorating the staff section just with a little bit of seating stuff, cages. And I'm only using the raptor cages because in this build it's just Utahraptor, so we don't need any others. And just some greeblies and stuff to make it look a little bit more real. Trash cans, that sort of stuff. But since this is not the main focus of this area, I basically just added buildings that look like staff section stuff, like the control center, a staff center, a hatchery, of course, which is where the younglings are going to be hatched and raised until they reach a size that would need another environment than the hatchery. And this is part of the lore too. So once the Utahraptors get to a size where they are ready to be introduced into the flock or pack or school or whatever of the Utahraptors that are already in this exhibit, they are being raised by the trainers and with full-on body contact, no bars between them because the young little hatchlings, they are pretty small, so they won't be a danger, I guess, to their trainers, and that leads to them having a connection, having a level of trust, so the trainer can work with them even when they are mature and big enough to kill them. But because they have this established trust bond that pre-exists this level of maturity that is really dangerous. So right now I'm building the part where the raptors are being trained, and I'm adding a roof again. But what you saw me do before was add like a sluice, a lock to the double gate that is connected to the nighttime habitat, which is used to single out the raptors that the trainers want to work with, and they can do that easily because they have this trust bond that is being established so early on. And then there is this sort of, again, a transition point that leads to two different training sections. Right now I'm putting down these connection buildings that are going to connect to viewing domes later on. So there are two different levels of training here. When the first stage is going to be a rather natural habitat where those raptors learn to get close to people, protected by glass, which is these glass domes that I'm putting up right now. And they are also being introduced to the invisible fence. And this thing that I'm building right now, where I'm adding the feeders, is the next stage of that training, which I'm going to explain later, I guess. But these double gates always serve as sort of these locks that we saw in Jurassic World, where the raptors go in so you can pet their head, and they are really aggressive in there, but hopefully the Utahraptors won't be. So yeah, and between those two stages of training, there is a corridor that is leading them back to where they started and back to the natural environment where they are getting trained to respect the invisible fence. Here I'm thinking, does this make sense? I had a little bit of trouble with this build, to be honest. Let's me think here how to smooth the terrain. Because, okay, so I had trouble because I knew I wanted this to be a training for military stuff, but how exactly that should, what exactly that should entail wasn't all that clear to me. So I got there by working my way through it. And now I'm establishing like color codes, red and green. And I'm pretending that the animals can differentiate those two colors. Probably I should have used yellow and blue, I guess. But now I chose red and green, and I'm putting down the invisible fence for the natural habitat. That is, as I said, meant to be them like getting used to living in this natural habitat and being close to people behind glass and respecting the invisible fence. So it is fenced in first with this invisible fence. I went on to do some nature stuff because I was at a point where I didn't know how to proceed. So it's always easy to then go to do something else. And now I replaced a few fences, put a fence in front of the hatchery because the younglings will need some space to stretch their legs from now and then. So they will have a little really small enclosure to do that right in front of the hatchery. And so this natural habitat, now I'm adding snow, wow, because I wanted snow, because I wanted the animals to have to get familiarized with different textures under their feet. That sounds kind of strange, but I know from various animals that they seem to have trouble walking on something that they haven't seen before. Maybe my cat, who is afraid to walk on leaf litter outside because, well, he never saw it when he was small, so now it's something very weird and strange to him. Or horses and stuff. So yeah, I know it can be difficult for animals, especially if they're shy and a little skittish, to walk on materials that they don't know. So part of the training is that they get used to all of that stuff, because when you want to have them be useful for military stuff, they should not be afraid to walk on concrete or snow. So that's why I added this there. I'm still doing nature stuff. Yeah. And now I'm back to the flags. So I'm establishing green means everything's good, everything's fine, you can go here. And red, of course, means don't go here. So I put a lot of red flags all around the invisible fence and then build a second fence around it to make sure that they don't break out. Because in this habitat, they have sort of the freedom to walk over the invisible fence, because I thought like this invisible fence is not giving them an electric shock. It's more like they have an implant, and once they get too close to it, they receive like an audio signal, maybe a high-pitched tone or something that should be really uncomfortable for them. But they need to learn that this signal means don't go further. So because we can't be sure that they get it the first time around, yeah, I put the double fence there, and so that they can make a mistake without causing havoc. And now I'm putting up a ton of security cameras. The little area right here behind this gate, I'm going to remake later, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it yet. And I'm placing a lot of trees to make sure that the facility is as hidden as possible from the viewing platforms or the path. So I checked if there's anything visible and filled all the gaps that gave you a look onto the facility through those viewing towers, and added a lot of trees there. Fantastic. And now I'm building an obstacle course, which is the second stage of their training. And there will be a third part of their training, which is under construction right now, which is what is behind the gate that I'm going to rebuild later. So now I'm building an obstacle course that is filled with stuff that they are not used to. So parasols, materials that make sound, that look different, that maybe move with the wind, all sorts of stuff. And that maybe make sounds because there's like a speaker in them. Yeah, because I'm not used to working with reptiles. I never had a reptile as a pet. I only have cats and horses or dogs that I can sort of have a point of reference to. And I know it's a pretty good method to train a horse, which is more of the type of a flight and not fight creature, to familiarize them with stuff that could potentially be frightening to them, because that's their natural way of responding to things they don't know. So this is where I put the concrete on the floor, and I added this, satellite antenna and this DFW shed with the containers next to it, because I thought I wanted them to walk over, again, another material than just the concrete path. But in the end, I decided that it would be more fun if they could actually walk through this, which those two objects prevent, so I deleted them later. And now I'm putting up, again, all sorts of stuff. Fire, water, fabric that is moving in the wind, and that could be potentially threatening to a skittish animal. And first I had the idea to put the different textures to experience under their feet, under this roofed section, which is also why I had snow there. But then I decided that this was already kind of happening in the first part of this obstacle course. And to make sure that they don't take a shortcut, I put up those rocks, and now I'm putting all sorts of flags through there indicating which way they should take. And now I don't know what I did there with the. This is supposed to be like a labyrinth of invisible fence, and really just a training ground to really obey their trainers. And there is just invisible fence separating the training area where the raptors are going to walk and the trainer. So this is really the next step. And which is why there is a gate, because if the raptor is not ready to do this, but should already be like familiarized with all the stuff that is scary, you can just choose to stop your training there and have it go back. And I don't know why I struggled just placing a random invisible fence there, but I did. And now I'm introducing the first raptors to the nature exhibit. And we're nearing the end of this. So let me just say thank you so much for accompanying me this whole year. It has been a ton of fun here. By the way, I'm adding the second fence. And now, I'm so sorry I interrupt myself all the time. So now I'm building like a construction zone for the next step. That is not ready. But once these raptors are through with their training in the training grounds they have so far, they will be introduced to Hammond statues and learn to hunt down a target. And for that, I'm going to use I thought Hammond statues are probably the best thing to add, and they will also be introduced to buildings, so they just don't know like decoration stuff and all sorts of materials, but also all sorts of buildings, and that's the next phase, and it's still under construction. So I added lots of piles of those bricks and floodlights, cranes, and all sorts of materials. Right now I'm adding a pile of sand, which I'm really chuffed about. I'm very proud that I could do this. Just adding a pile of sand, because a construction zone needs a pile of sand. So anyhow, this is like basically the end of it. Thank you for this amazing year on YouTube. You guys are the best community there is in the world. I have sung so many praises on this community, but it really is great. So, and you know that. I know that you do. So, yeah. What am I doing now? I'm adding more gates on path. I just couldn't. I thought this invisible fence section is a little dangerous. So maybe be safe, not sorry, and add another double gate for people there. So they are fenced off from the dangerous part of this training grounds. And just to be safe, because you never know what happens, I added a bunker there, and of course all of those sniper towers all around to be double sure in case of an accident. There's someone there with a gun and ready to shoot her. Yeah. And so I don't know why I added this bathroom there, but it sort of looks like a storage shed. And these domes, or connection points to the domes, are like the main working buildings. There aren't any buildings in this section except for those. So I don't know, maybe they're doing like some research there and need all sorts of stuff. Maybe people like to do some observations on the animals that are living in this natural ground. So they just all put some personal stuff there, like this sunbathing thing, and that's it. There you can see the raptors walking through the obstacle course. Fantastic, I love it. I had fun building this. I hope you, I don't know, get one or two ideas from this build. I thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic holidays and see you soon. Bye bye.